Nicole, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I have the newest release from Knees Lacquer. For the month of November, Knees Lacquer is actually combining their normal November release alongside what would be their December release, which they usually celebrate as Buzzmas. So there's actually going to be two collections available from Knees this month. However, I only have one of them. Their Buzzmas collection is inspired by the book Divine Mortals by Amanda Helander. This is actually Amanda's debut novel, so Sarah actually worked alongside the author and the author's sister to create this collection, which is honestly really cool. The Divine Mortals collection features a variety of shimmer polishes in romantic colors. There are 9 polishes total within this release. The Divine Mortals collection launches on the Knees Lacquer website on November 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I will get more into all of the pricing and sale information at the end of the video because Knees Lacquer is also doing a massive Black Friday event, so I will want to talk about that a little bit later. All of the products featured in today's video were sent to me by Knees Lacquer to swatch. While this video is not sponsored, I was paid by Knees Lacquer so that they could use my photos for their various postings and websites. Thank you very much to Knees Lacquer for sending these over to me. As always, in the description box, I will have all of the links, sale information, brand social media pages, my social media pages, and of course, timestamps. Be aware, I talk quite a bit. And as per usual, all my final thoughts are saved for the end of the video. Let's just get into this one. First up, we have Everything I Desire. Knees describes this one as a rich violet with a purple shimmer and a ton of hollow flakes. Everything I Desire had a fantastic formula. This one starts off a little bit sheer on that first coat, so this one does need to be built up. I found while coverage was pretty good in 2 coats, I did notice that if I wanted to get the same depth of color that I was seeing in the bottle, I did need to build this one up in 3 coats, so my full hand swatches do show Everything I Desire in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. So I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on personal preference and potentially even your nail length and how you feel about visible nail line. I know I very regularly complain about how much I am tired of seeing purple based polishes with shimmer and holographic, but in typical Nicole fashion, I freaking love how this looks. I do want to note that the brand does warn that this polish does tend to bleed once you add top coat, and I did find that to be the case. If you are new to a polish bleeding once you add top coat, generally that means that the base color kind of overpowers the shimmer or holographic once you add top coat. That is pretty common in polishes that are in this kind of violet color family. I usually find when a polish bleeds when I add top coat, I usually find that it means that one of the other components in the polish kind of get lost once you add top coat. This polish does seem to get a little bit darker with top coat, but I didn't find that adding top coat made the shimmer or the holographic flakes disappear at all. I generally find if you use a water-based top coat before you add your quick dry top coat for these kind of polishes, it can help with the bleeding issue. However, I did not do that for my full hand swatches because I feel like it's unrealistic to expect everybody to just have a water-based top coat laying around, but I do happen to have one laying around, so I wanted to show how the polish looks without top coat, with a water-based top coat, and with a water-based top coat and then a quick dry top coat. I have had a lot of polishes bleed once I add top coat on them over the years, and I gotta say for this one is pretty minimal, I think. While you do get a slightly different base color, you still can see both the shimmer and holographic. The polish doesn't lose any of the holographic. Removal is going to be super easy for this polish. However, if you have an overlay on your nails, I would definitely recommend doubling up on your base coat. Violet shades like this tend to be really bad stainers for overlays. This next shade is called Favored by the Gods, and Knees describes it as a mid-tone purple with a glowy green shimmer. Honestly, really surprised that this is not a Dumicorn sibling. This has like very strong Dumicorn vibes. As you can tell from my swatch, Favored by the Gods is a super sheer polish. I would definitely recommend building this one up in 3 coats, not to get full opacity because you are not going to get anywhere close to full opacity, but by building this up in 3 coats, you deepen up the base color so you can see more of that purple on your nail, and it also makes the shimmer a lot stronger. I did notice that the shimmer in here has a green to blue color shift. It does not show any brush strokes, however. As you're seeing here in the bottle, this looks like a very cool tone purple, but on the nail, it looks like a warm pinky purple. The difference in color and what you get on the nail versus what you see in the bottle was so different that I actually had to verify that I was polishing my nails with the correct bottle because I was very confused at why it looks so different. For me personally, I feel like this is a little bit more sheer than I personally would want in a polish. However, I do think that this being so sheer does open it up to layering possibilities. So that is Favored by the Gods in 3 coats plus glossy top coat, super easy removal, and I had no issues with staining. And here is a little side by side of Favored by the Gods and Dumicorn. It looks like Dumicorn is a bit more cool toned in nature. I wouldn't go so far as to say that this is a straight on dupe for Dumicorn, but I could see someone saying how many sheer purple bases with green to blue shimmer does one need. And now we have I Just Want to Spank It Out of Him.
Overpours. behave.
Bees Knees describes this one as a deep oxblood with an emerald to blue micro flake shimmer, and the brand does warn that this polish has the potential to stain. I just want to spank it out of him had a fantastic formula, and I'm sure no one is surprised at how much I absolutely love the name. I do want to note this is one of those shimmers that for whatever reason seem to get a little bit washed out on camera. The shimmer color is a bit more saturated than it's appearing in my video here. I'm going to call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on personal preference. My full hand swatches here show the polish in 2 coats, but I feel like I probably should have added a third. It's looking a little bit uneven in some spots, which I'm not liking. While I did have fairly obvious visible nail line with this polish, I feel like for me personally, I am okay with this level of nail line. The microflake shimmer in this polish does not dry down textured like a glitter, but you definitely will still want top coat to smooth everything out. Removal will not be overly difficult by any means, but it will be fairly messy if you choose to scrub this one off. Because the brand does warn that this is a potential stainer, I would actually suggest soaking this one off and not scrubbing it because you don't want to scrub the pigment into your nail. And now we have Love Reading, which Bees Knees describes as a gossamer rosewood brown with a glowy green to blue shimmer. Love Reading also had a fantastic formula. As you can see here, this is another shade that is super duper sheer, so you do want to build this one up not to get opacity, but just to deepen up the base color as well as to strengthen the shimmer. The base color on this one is kind of a very interesting shade of brown. It's very warm and I guess like rosy. I was initially thinking it was more taupey leaning, but I feel like after reading the official description, I'm like, yeah, I see where they're going with this rosewood brown. Full hand swatches show Love Reading in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. This is going to be one of those polishes that Bees Knees does oh so well, where you get a really strong shimmer, but you get quite a bit of visible nail line. I had initially thought that this was going to be a little bit too sheer for me personally, but I did end up liking how this one looked quite a bit. And as you can see here, the shimmer is super strong and super glowy and does not show any brush strokes. I was seeing the green to blue color shift in person. So that is Love Reading in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. Once again, super easy removal. I did not personally experience any staining. This next shade is called Never Broker a Deal with a Demon, and the brand describes it as a sheer teal base with a strong orange to green shifting shimmer. Once again, fantastic formula. The base did not feel very thick or thin, 0 application issues. This is another fairly sheer polish. It does have a little bit more pigmentation to it than the last polish, but it still is going to be a 3 coater with obvious visible nail line. While I still consider this one a 3 coater, I did find that that 3rd coat deepened the base color to be closer to what I was seeing in the bottle. Coverage is, however, fairly even in 2 coats, so if you don't mind it not being as deep in color, it is passable in 2 coats. The color contrast between the shimmer and the teal base really pops so nicely on the nail. I really liked it about this one. As is typical with Bees Knees shimmers, this one is super strong, super glowy, and this one does not show brush strokes either. The predominant colors in the shimmer that I was seeing in person were more of a red to an orange shade. I was seeing a hint of green at very extreme angles, but the predominant color that you'll see on the nail is going to be orange and like a reddish orange. Once again, super easy removal. I had no issues with staining and nothing is going to dry down textured or be overly difficult to remove. This next shade is called Patroness of Bees Knees describes this one as an ivory Gumiho sibling with that same green to blue shifting shimmer. Formula on this one was pretty decent. I kind of expected it to be a little bit uneven because sheer whites just tend to be pretty uneven. I do feel as far as sheer white shimmers go, I'd say formula is pretty good. As is typical for sheer white shades, this one does apply a little bit unevenly. I found that I needed 3 coats to get even coverage, which again I find is fairly typical for sheer white shades. I don't know why I keep calling this white, by the way. Like, it's like the lightest color of tan before you get to white. It's not like a pure white color. If you've been around the channel for a minute, you probably would have heard me say that I don't really care for shades like this. Like, these just pale colors are just not for me personally. If I was the kind of person who did like palette cleanser manis, I would say I would wear something like this. Like, I kind of liked how this one looked on me. As is typical for Gumiho siblings, the shimmer is super strong, super glowy, and does not show any brush strokes. It has a strong green to blue color shift. My full hand swatches show Patroness of in 3 coats plus glossy top coat. Super easy removal, no issues with staining. The name on this one is wild. And now we have Soulmate, which Bees Knees describes as a sheer indigo base loaded with a gold to green to blue shifting shimmer. Soulmates also had a fantastic formula. This one is again on the more sheer side. I did choose to build this one up in 3 coats. I did find coverage pretty even, so if you don't want to truly build this one up in 3 coats, it's definitely passable in 2, but you won't quite get the same depth of color on the nail that you get get in 3 coats. While I don't think this is a spot-on dupe for a previous Bees Knees polish, I do just have this feeling that we have seen something like this from them before, once or twice.
You know, that's just my opinion.
Again, I do also think this is absolutely stunning. This is one of those shimmer polishes where the shimmer does not look quite as saturated on camera as it looks in person. However, I just can't get like a super high level of excitement for this one just because like I feel like I've seen this many times before. This is another one of the polishes in this release that looks a little bit warmer in tone on the nail than it does in the bottle. I feel like in the bottle I definitely buy this being an indigo, but on the nail it's like almost lavender. I chose to build this one up in 3 coats just to add as much depth in the base color as I could possibly get. This is definitely a fairly sheer polish. You will definitely see your nailing with it even when built up in 3 coats. Super easy removal for this polish, and once again I did not personally experience any staining. And now we have the Rising Tide, which BKL describes as a grungy gray with a blue to purple to green shifting shimmer. This is another fairly sheer polish that I would definitely recommend building up this one in 3 coats. I definitely think this polish has that grungy vibe down packed. It also leans like a little bit in the Prugly category. Usually I really love Prugly shades. However, I don't like this. I don't know why I don't like this. Ugly! I think there's just something about it that just looks kind of off to me. Now that I've said that, I'm here looking at my live swatch footage and comparing it to my full hand swatches, and I feel like this looks so much better in the live swatch than it does in the full hand swatches, and I'm suddenly wondering if maybe I went in for like incredibly thin coats for the full hand swatch, or I miscounted my coats and I only did 2 coats for my full hand swatch. I'm not gonna re-record the voiceover for this, but like my note said hated it, but now I'm looking at the live swatch and I'm like, oh wait, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I actually kind of do like it now. So in case you're very confused right now, make sure to do 3 coats. I think that's going to be the trick with this polish, to make sure to do 3 coats. The shimmer also is super gorgeous. I was seeing a pink, blue, purple, yellow with green at extreme angles for color shifts, and removal of course will be super duper easy. This next shade is called The Flood, and Bees Knees describes it as a seal blue with a rich blue shimmer and a scattering of silver light reflective glitter. The Flood had a fantastic formula and the base did not feel overly thick or thin. I found the Flood to be pretty sheer, so I'd really recommend building this one up. I personally did not like coverage for this one in 2 coats. I found it a little bit too patchy for me personally. So my full hand swatches do show the shade built up in 3 coats. I did still have some visible nailing with the shade when built up in 3 coats. There was also a little bit of patchiness as well. And while this polish does dry down with a little bit of texture due to the light reflective glitter, this doesn't have that kind of wet sand kind of application that some light reflective glitter polishes do have. You do still need to add top coat for this one. For my full hand swatches, I used 1 coat of top coat and that seemed to smooth everything up pretty nicely, but you might need a 2nd coat of top coat if you have this one on for longer than I did. Even though this isn't as gritty as some other light reflective glitter polishes are, I still would recommend the soak off method or a peel off base coat for removal. You do not want to be scrubbing light reflective glitter polishes off at all. It will just scratch up your nail plate. Alrighty, so final thoughts time. So all in all, I feel like this is a very similar release to what we see a lot from the brand. I find this to be a really pretty release, and I thought all the polishes look really beautiful. Part of me kind of wishes there was a little bit more variation in finishes for this release, just because like I feel like we see a lot of shimmers from the brand, but I also feel like Bees Knees is very well known for their amazing shimmer polishes, so I'm not terribly surprised that they lean very heavily towards shimmers. I have not yet read the book that inspired this collection, so I don't get any of the references. I feel like the polish I'm gonna say is gonna be my top pick might be a surprise to some people, and I feel like a certain subset of y'all are thinking I'm gonna pick this one because of the name, but it's not, I swear.
Sure, Jan.
So my top pick is going to be I Just Want to Spank It Out of Him.
Oh my.
As you can see, I'm actually wearing this polish on my hands right now. The reason why this is making it on the top picks list is because I did not think much of this one in the bottle. Once I got it onto my nails, I was absolutely in love, and I purposefully wanted to make sure that I had it on for when I was recording the intros and outros for this video. And my second top pick from this release is going to be Love Reading. This is another shade that I didn't think much of it in the bottle, and I just really liked how it looked on my nails, and I did not expect that I was gonna like that one at all. As far as sale information goes, buckle up, get a drink, because this is gonna be a long one. So this collection alongside the Baldur's Gate 3 collection all launched on the Bees Knees Lacquer website on November 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So alongside both of these releases, there's also going to be Buzzmas mystery bags. Both of these releases will be available on the Knees Lacquer website with a 25% off sale for the Black Friday. These will be on a pre-order, and the pre-order window closes December 8th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. As with all of Knees Lacquer website releases, there is a soft cap on each individual polish, and by soft cap that means if 1,000 bottles of that polish sell out, there will be a new pre-order window listed, and you will be able to tell on the website if the polishes sell past that pre-order limit and you have to get like a new pre-order. There won't be a full collection bundle listing on the website due to the fact that all the polishes are going to be 25% off and you don't need a code for that. Alongside this release, there also will be Overpours from the Beetlejuice collection from, I believe that was October, as well as the God and Gumiho mystery bags. There will also be a handful of respawns, and if you are new to the brand, respawns are when Knees Lacquer re-releases older polishes. If you are signed up to the Knees Lacquer email list, I'm sure Sarah's going to send out an email of what the respawns will be before the sale period. I don't currently have a list of what is getting respawned. There also will be some unreleased prototypes in a variety of finishes, and the unreleased prototypes are limited to 3 per person, and there also will be freebies with every single order. There also will be some Buzzmas mystery bags. However, the Buzzmas mystery bags are limited to 1 per person. Knees Lacquer does offer international shipping. However, they do also have a variety of international stockist pages. Usually the international stockist pages do usually get all of the same releases that Knees Lacquer has on their main website, so we'll have links in the description box of the stockist pages that I'm aware of. I would love to know what everyone thought of this release. Are you planning on picking it? Let me know everyone's thoughts and feelings on it. If you are new to my channel, hi, I am Nicole. Welcome. I post nail polish swatch and reviews here on this channel. I also have a second channel, which is Nicole Danielson, where I post all my non-nail polish content. If you like homesteading, cooking, and really bad gardening videos, check out my second channel as well, or subscribe to this one if you haven't already. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members, Shenanigan, Stormy fans. Just thank you guys so very much for the love and support. Your names, of course, all on the screen right now. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope everyone has a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!